U.S. Citizenship Civics Practice Test Number 1. In February 2021, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, announced it would scrap former President Trump's revised naturalization civics test and restore the previous 2008 version of the civics test. Boundless has created 5 U.S. civics practice tests based on the 2008 version of the test. In this video, you will be presented with a question, followed by 4 multiple-choice options. Answers will be revealed after 5 seconds. A few things to note. There is no time limit in the real civics exam, and some adjudicators will allow applicants to skip questions and come back to them later. Questions are selected at random. Let's get started. What is the last day you can send in federal income tax forms? July 4th, April 15th, May 15th, March 15th. Answer: April 15th. April 15th is the last day you can send in federal income tax forms. The Constitution gives the federal government the power to collect taxes. Taxes pay for things like national defense, educational programs, and Social Security. What ocean is on the east coast of the United States? Indian Ocean, Atlantic Ocean, Arctic Ocean, Pacific Ocean. Answer: Atlantic Ocean. The Atlantic Ocean is on the east coast of the United States. The Atlantic Ocean reaches from the east coast of the U.S. to Europe and Africa. The 13 original colonies bordered the Atlantic Ocean. We elect a U.S. Senator for how many years? 10, 2, 6, 4. Answer: 6. We elect a U.S. Senator for 6 years. Senators can run for as many terms as they want. Their job is to represent all the people in their state in the Senate. What does the President's Cabinet do? Command the U.S. Armed Forces, advise the President, make laws, all of the above. Answer: advise the President. The President's Cabinet advises the President. The people in the Cabinet are the Vice President and the heads of 15 government departments. What ocean is on the west coast of the United States? Arctic Ocean, Southern Ocean, Pacific Ocean, Atlantic Ocean. Answer: Pacific Ocean. The Pacific Ocean is on the west coast of the United States. The Pacific Ocean is the largest ocean in the world. It reaches from the west coast of the United States to Asia and Australia. The states of Alaska, Washington, Oregon, California, and Hawaii border the Pacific Ocean. What does the judicial branch do? Decides if a law goes against the Constitution, reviews laws, resolves disputes, all of the above. Answer: all of the above. The judicial branch reviews laws and explains laws. It resolves disagreements. It also decides if a law is supported by the Constitution or is unconstitutional. The Supreme Court and all other federal courts are part of the judicial branch. What is the supreme law of the land? The Constitution, the Emancipation Proclamation, the Articles of Confederation, the Declaration of Independence. Answer: the Constitution is the supreme law of the land. All laws in the United States need to follow the Constitution. What is the capital of the United States? Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Boston, Massachusetts, New York, New York, Washington, D.C. Answer: Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is the capital of the United States. Senators and representatives meet at the Capitol building to make laws. The President lives and works at the White House, and the Supreme Court judges make decisions in the Supreme Court building in D.C. If the President can no longer serve, who becomes President? The Secretary of State, the President pro tem, the Speaker of the House, the Vice President. Answer: the Vice President. If the President can no longer serve, the Vice President becomes the President. This has occurred 9 times in American history. What is the name of the Speaker of the House of Representatives as of September 2021? Kamala Harris, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden. Answer: Nancy Pelosi. The Speaker of the House of Representatives is the leader of the House of Representatives. He or she speaks for the majority party. The idea of self-government is in the first 3 words of the Constitution. What are these words? Congress shall make, we the people, we the British, we the colonists. Answer: we the people. The first 3 words of the Constitution are we the people. The document says that the people of the United States choose to create the government. Name one Native American tribe in the United States. Celts, Slavs, Cherokee, Zawe-Chemi. Answer: Cherokee. There are hundreds of American Indian tribes in the United States today. The Cherokee is a large American Indian tribe. What is the name of the national anthem? God Bless the USA, the Star-Spangled Banner, America the Beautiful, My Country 'Tis of Thee. Answer: the Star-Spangled Banner. The Star-Spangled Banner is the name of our national anthem. The song is about the United States flag. How many U.S. senators are there? 50, 52, 100, 435. Answer: 100. There are 100 U.S. senators. There are 2 senators from each state. All states have the same number of U.S. senators. There are 50 states, so there are 100 senators. Under our Constitution, some powers belong to the federal government. What is one power of the federal government? To declare war, to issue driver's license, to provide protection, police, to provide schooling and education. Answer: to declare war. The powers of the United States government are listed in the Constitution. The powers of the federal government include the power to print money, create an army, and make treaties. Another is the power to declare war. Who was the first president? Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, John Adams. Answer: George Washington was the first president of the United States. He was president from 1789 to 1797. In what month do we vote for president? February, January, October, November. Answer: November. We vote for the president in November. In 1845, Congress decided that November was the perfect month to have elections. At that time, most American citizens lived on farms. By November, farmers had finished harvesting their crops. They could leave the farm to vote. Who was the president during the Great Depression and World War II? Calvin Coolidge, Harry Truman, Herbert Hoover, Franklin Roosevelt. Answer: Franklin Roosevelt. Roosevelt was the president of the United States during the Great Depression and World War II. Franklin Roosevelt became president in 1933. What is the rule of law? Government does not have to follow the law. Everyone must follow the law. Everyone but the president must follow the law. All laws must be the same in every state. Answer: Everyone must follow the law. In the United States, everyone must follow the law. All people and groups must follow the law. Government officials must follow the law. Everyone is equal under the government. This way, the government can protect everyone's rights. What did Susan B. Anthony do? Founded the Red Cross, the first woman elected to the House of Representatives, made the first flag of the United States, fought for women's rights. Answer: fought for women's rights. Susan B. Anthony was an important leader in the women's rights movement. She fought for women's rights and civil rights. She gave speeches to support women's rights, especially the right to vote. This is the end of the test. How did you do? Let us know in the comments. If you'd like to see a full list of U.S. citizenship test questions and answers, hit the link on your screen. And if you found this video helpful, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to Boundless on YouTube. Thanks for watching.